Tom King has got to be one of my favorite writers. I've got Vision, Sheriff of Babylon, and Mr. Miracle, and I really enjoyed reading all of them. So I was pretty excited when I saw that he was writing a standalone Supergirl book, which makes for a pretty much perfect jumping off point to this character that I've been meaning to learn more about. And it really helps that the art in this book is just so beautiful. I mean, look at these. So in this video, I want to talk about Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, an 8-issue miniseries first published back in 2021, written by Tom King, with art by Bilquis and colors by Matt Lopes. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is a nice, sort of short-ish read that started off a bit disorienting as it kinda just drops you in, but quickly shifted into something warm and familiar. The format of the book is pretty episodic, with each issue being its own sort of little adventure that starts and ends there, but of course there's also the overarching storyline that spans across the entire 8 issues. And since it's a standalone book, there's no prerequisite reading or any tie-ins or anything like that, and the story itself is pretty self-contained, which I enjoyed. So before we get more into it, of course, spoilers alert for Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and if you haven't read it, please do, I really recommend it. It's a really good book. Also heads up, I will be talking about stuff surrounding loss and death. So Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is a story about 2 women. Supergirl, who we all know and love, and Ruthye Marie Knoll, a completely new character written for this book that we haven't met before. In this book, we follow one of the many adventures of Supergirl. This one in particular is set around her 21st birthday. So it's quite early in her career as Supergirl, where she's stuck in this sort of limbo between 2 worlds, as her memories of Krypton's demise is still fresh and Earth is still unfamiliar. Throughout this book, we learn more about her struggles with loss and guilt from Krypton and how she's still working through this trauma, but suffice it to say that her sarcastic, no-nonsense exterior shows a very broken woman trying to make sense of it all. On the other side of the same coin is the book's narrator, Ruthye Marie Knoll. Ruthye is young, she is headstrong and quite stubborn. And just as Supergirl did, Ruthye too lost her entire world when the antagonist of this book, Krem of the Yellow Hills, struck her father down in cold blood at the start of the story, before escaping the planet in Supergirl's spaceship. Ruthye then left home in search of vengeance, crossed paths with Supergirl, and this is where our story picks up. And in this story, we follow Supergirl and Ruthye on a journey across the stars. The duo search high and low for Krem of the Yellow Hills as he leaves behind a trail of murder and destruction on many different planets across the galaxy. Framed within this backdrop of a grand fantastical interstellar adventure, the book is actually a very small thematic exploration of the many different ways that people deal with grief and loss. Near the end of the story, there's this twist where it's revealed that this whole adventure has actually been a ploy by Supergirl, meant to teach Ruthye a life lesson. Ruthye's understandably angry, and she wants to channel all that anger entirely into seeking revenge from Krem. Ruthye was hell-bent on killing Krem for what he did, an eye for an eye, a life for a life. So Supergirl made it her personal mission to try and teach Ruthye a lesson on moving on and forgiveness. But Supergirl knew that she couldn't just tell Ruthye, hey, murder is wrong, don't do it, forgive and move on, because Ruthye is stubborn and Supergirl knows stubborn, maybe even a little all too well. So Supergirl decided that the best way to teach Ruthye is instead to bring her along on this grand adventure to try and show instead of tell, by allowing Ruthye to have the opportunity to gain a much larger perspective on life, warts and all. Supergirl saw herself in Ruthye. The anger, the confusion, the loneliness, that's all too familiar for Supergirl. She sees Ruthye as a kindred spirit, and from personal experience, Supergirl knows what it is like to live in the past and how not moving on will just waste away someone's life. Supergirl felt that she needed to make sure that Ruthye does not waste away her life, chasing after something lost that cannot come back no matter what you do. But Supergirl herself is not infallible. She's not the perfect role model for this because she herself does not practice what she preaches. She still dreams of Krypton, even though she knows that she should move on. This led her to wonder that what if Ruthye was right all along? That maybe Krem deserves to be killed for what he's done, if not only to give Ruthye and others who have suffered from his actions a semblance of closure. At the end of the book, we see Ruthye finally realizing that she has actually learned the lesson Supergirl was trying to teach her. She stopped Supergirl mid-swing as she was about to decapitate Krem. Ruthye recounts moments from their adventures that led to this eventual realization in a very emotional monologue. Moments where she witnessed Supergirl's determination, kindness, compassion, strength. She saw again and again how Supergirl picks herself back up every time she stumbled. Even when faced with something impossible, she saw how Supergirl still managed to find a way and pull through, and how she's always there to help everyone in need that they come across. It's here that Ruthye learned two things. 1, that she and Supergirl are not that different after all. 2, that good is still out there. And just like that, in a reversal of role, after all of 8 issues of Supergirl trying to teach Ruthye, it's Ruthye's turn to pull Supergirl out of the dark. Ruthye explains that when her father died, she felt that the universe is unfair, that the kindest person she knows was senselessly killed, and that she felt that she was just dust flung this way and that there is no method to the madness, and that the universe is inherently and immutably chaotic in nature. But through her adventures with Supergirl, Ruthye eventually realized that good is still out there. It didn't end with the death of her father. She realized that the universe is neither evil nor good in and of itself. It didn't pick her out specifically to torment and punish. The universe simply is. The universe goes through peaks and troughs, and we're all just along for the ride. That evil will be evil, good will persist, but good people will suffer all the same. And that there will be other people elsewhere, somewhere across the galaxy, who will experience hate and wonder the same thing, goes through the same existential crisis and doubts that Ruthye did. And they might not have the same privilege of having a role model like Supergirl to show them that it's possible to push through and keep on going. And Ruthye realizes that it's her purpose and mission to tell them of the legend of Supergirl, who has lost everything and kept on walking, who has weathered the storm and came out stronger. Supergirl then drops her sword and broke down. "It's too big. We're too small," she says, echoing something Ruthye said earlier in issue 3, in a similar moment of weakness. Supergirl finally admits to herself that she too is now jaded and broken down by all that they have gone through and all that they have seen in this adventure. She put up a strong exterior to protect Ruthye, and despite that, she is still the Kryptonian girl who had to witness the destruction of her home not once, but twice. She is trying to teach Ruthye a lesson that she still has a lot to learn herself. Despite all her adventures, all her powers, all that she has achieved, all the good that she has done, she still dreams of Krypton. In a book with these superpowered beings traveling from one planet to another, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow is actually, in its heart, a very small story, exploring grief and loss and moving on, and what it is like to truly understand how small and insignificant you are in the grand scheme of it all. But it also shows us how that doesn't mean that you don't matter. It just means that you're not alone in your struggles, and that if someone else somewhere managed to pull through, then you will also be able to pull through. This book is a great introduction to / interpretation of the Supergirl character, who in the past I've always thought of as just Superman's angsty, rebellious teen cousin. But she's way more than that. She's kindness, she's grace, she's compassion. She's gone through a lot, and she's not perfect, but she's doing her best. Thanks for watching this video and all my other ones. Like, subscribe, tell a friend, and reach out to me in the comments below, or over on my Twitter @liminalwaffle if you want to have a chat. Bye.